everyone, I hope you're well and had a good week. Now I thought I'd take this opportunity in this slot to answer a question that's been asked a few times over the last few months and might have been asked a few times before. You've guessed the question already by the title intro thing, but it's a question that always flummoxes me because I just don't understand it and I just don't know where to start. So I had to prepare a few notes here. But the question is, why do you like pinball so much? Now, if you're really into pinball like me, you're just, what? It's like if someone questions your fandom, really. It says to you, what do you like so much about Star Wars? But you just don't know where to start with it, because in your world, everything is fantastic. So I'll just see if I can attempt to answer this question. I made some notes in case I forgot anything, so I know where to start. Now, this question was also asked by someone else that runs their own retro gaming channel, so that flabbergasts me even more. But each to their own, really. Sometimes it all depends on age. Sometimes retro gaming, if you're age 20, anything from 10 years ago, which is a relatively short amount of time in history terms, but if you're age 20, anything from age 10 would seem pretty retro, because quite a lot has happened in your life, really. Probably the most that will ever happen in your life in terms of change. So I can understand that. But if you're interested in the history of retro gaming, where it's all started for the arcades form, you can't ignore pinball, because that's basically, it's not all where it started, because there was outside game before then, but it holds some significant importance. That's what I'm trying to say. Pinball is one of the earliest arcade games. So if you went to the arcades in the 30s, 40s and 50s, it would have been predominantly pinball games and variations of that, although that did gradually change as history progressed. So it's an important part of history. Now, to most people nowadays, their knowledge of pinball or their interaction with it with digital recreations on various computers, and to the uninitiated, it does seem a bit like you're knocking a ball randomly round the table each time, and it all seems a bit the same, table to table, and ultimate boredom. But that's not quite right. I mean, I've seen digital tables done badly, and I've seen them done really well. Pinball Arcade notably, because that's a recreation of real machines. But done well, each table does have its own differences. There's different missions to do, a storyline, and you have to hit the right targets at the right time. So once you get used to them, they are different. They're not all the same. Now, pinball had its origins from, I guess, billiards and outside games like croquet and even bowls and such. But as time went on, people wanted indoor tabletop games, and so pinball was created. Now, which led to the modern day arcade, of course. Now, in the late 1700s, so we're going back a bit here, the first what you might call pinball table was actually released. So you can't get more retro than the late 1700s. And this was called billiards japonais, which is called Japanese billiards, I think. But it was invented in Europe, which consisted of metal pins and a coiled spring and plunger. So that's one of the basics of pinball, which is used by many of the tables still today. The players shot balls at an inclined playfield, so pretty much pinball, hitting targets and using that plunger. So there we go. So that was how pinball got started, really. In the 1930s was the coin-ops come in, and that's basically the birth of the arcades, which you can go and visit. Pretty much known as marble games sometimes. One of the early games that was a huge hit was right, correct me on that, was Baffle Ball by Gottlieb. So they're one of the early producers there. Sold reportedly over 50,000 units. Later manufactured pinball tables with Bally, connected to Midway, of course, Williams and Stern, and also Jersey Jack, I think, which we'll sort of like come to. But pinball was going on strong then in the arcade. They started to have a bit of a battle on their hands in the 1980s, where the first of the electronic arcade games started coming in, such as the classics you have like Asteroids, Pac-Man and Space Invaders, so I don't have to go too far into that. You'll know those games for sure, because they'll be on every format ever produced in retro computers, and the more modern day ones as well, Xbox One and PlayStation 4. I'm sure they've got Space Invaders or versions of them. 1990s saw a bit of a slowdown for pinball, as they sort of like fell out of popular sway. Electronic games were coming more and more, home computers were building up, and pinball games were pretty much forgotten. Which is a bit of a shame really, because I haven't played too many physical pinball tables, but when one's sitting there with all the flashing lights, the sound and the music, it does draw you in and you just keep wanting to play. And I mean, if you played a physical table at least once, then you can understand how good pinball can be. Can't beat having the actual physical machine there, but digital recreations, if they're done accurately enough, are pretty good as well. Because I couldn't fit about 50 pinball tables into my house. I couldn't even fit one, and they're pretty expensive as well. The upkeep of them is pretty high as also. Think of the amount of lights on some of them, the electronics, as that starts going wrong, you know, they need to be maintained basically. Pinball is awesome. Why do I like pinball? Come on, come on. If you've ever played pinball, you know these sort of things. I mean, things like bumpers on the playfield, spinners, kick shots, multi-balls, amazing sound, speech on a lot of them, flashing lights, electromagnets under the playfield which make the ball move slightly differently, targets to hit, ramps, missions, extra balls, jackpots, bonuses. It's all there pretty much. Now, with social media, which started gathering speed in the late 90s, pinball has got a second wind. People are really loving these tables now, both retro and new tables. In 2013, a really great table came out called The Wizard of Oz by Jersey Jack Pinball, and that was amazing. So they're really going to town now. The initial dot matrix displays and advanced, even like holograms now on the tables. So pinball is absolutely fantastic. That's what I'm basically trying to tell you here. Why do I like pinball? Well, I've just said. Both for the history of it, which I've covered briefly, but not in too much of a depth. So if you're into retro gaming, you've got to include pinball. The early arcades before it all got overtaken by electronics. But as I say, pinball is finding its way back. It's just having a physical table there. Now, as I said, I haven't got the room for physical tables at all. So the best digital tables I'm playing at the moment are Zen Pinball 2, which aren't recreations of real tables, to be honest with you. They take a bit of a flight of fancy. Their Star Wars tables and Marvel tables are absolutely awesome. And they've recently, at time of recording, done a Family Guy table as well. So if you like Family Guy, can't go too far wrong with that. And now my pick of the bunch, when you're looking at digitally recreated tables, you can't look any further than Pinball Arcade by Farsight Studios. Now a little while ago I finished reviewing season 1 of their tables, and I was mightily impressed. Just started reviewing season 2, got itchy eyeball, that isn't the name of a table. I've started reviewing season 2, so we'll go through them. But they're absolutely fantastic. I keep using the F word, don't I? But at least it's the nice F word. Favourite tables so far that I've looked at are Medieval Madness, Theatre of Magic, which is set in a theatre where you have to do separate tricks by hitting a box. Medieval Madness, again, that was like in a castle. You have to destroy several castles, go up ramps, rescue damsels in distress. Really funny, really great speech on that one. Monster Bash, you have to assemble various members of your old band, which are Frankenstein, Dracula, the Mummy. I mean, I can go on and on and on. These tables are awesome. Elvira's, a couple of tables there. Creatures from the Deep and the Party Monsters. Attack from Mars, that's an awesome table as well. So if you want to get into pinball and you don't know too much about it, and you have a PlayStation 3, Xbox One or a PS4, I recommend downloading Pinball Arcade. I think you get 4 tables first of all, some base tables. See what you think, it's quite cheap. If you like them, then maybe consider getting some more. But I'll tell you what I haven't got so far is Addams Family, which they released quite a while ago, so have a look at that. There's Bram Stoker's Dracula, Frankenstein, and they're adding to them almost every few months. I'm currently on season 5. So hopefully that's answered that question for you, why I like pinball. I'll probably get asked it again, but now I can refer them back to this video, I guess. So thanks for watching as always, all the videos, not just the pinball ones. Love your comments. Until next time, take care and goodbye.
Goodbye.